Hi, Serena.
Hi,
how you doing?
Serena. Good. How are you guys? We're doing good. It's a Saturday night.
You know what I should be doing. So if you happen to be tuning in, welcome to Stormfront Freaks. This is episode 138. More importantly, it's part 2 of a 3-part storm training series that we're doing. And tonight we've got Reed Timmer is going to be on the show, and we're focused on and talking about forecasting your target. So kind of the night before and the day of the storm, what you're looking for, what tools and resources you're using, trying to identify stuff like that. So that's what it's going to be about. We're ganging everybody up here right now, getting ready for that. But if you're watching us live, you're part of our Patreon group. Thanks again for your support. Thanks again for coming on Saturday night. It's a little different than what we normally do. It's kind of been a whirlwind here the last couple days making this happen, but looking forward to having Reed on. So thanks for joining us here on a Saturday. If you are watching the streaming version of this, after the fact, after we've recorded it, we call it Stormfront Freaks Raw because it is the recording. We're all getting together. This is how we record our podcast, and it is unedited and unfiltered and everything. So I always got to be careful. We always kind of put that disclaimer out at the front. If you want to hear something that's edited and all the who knows what is bleeped out or edited out, listen for the podcast on your favorite podcast player. That might be a little safer. But if you're a little on the edge and you like walking the high line, high wire, this is your show, right? Watching the video, watching it raw. So, and we got Dan on. Dan, how we doing, man?
Oh, I'm adequate. How are you?
You got a different background than I'm used to seeing you with.
Yeah, I'm not in the studio tonight.
You are not. Where are you?
Reed.
I'm in the bedroom.
Hi.
How's it going, you guys?
He didn't want to tell you.
Good.
That's where he is.
Where is? So I'm looking for.
Reed, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it?
Oh my God. Back in like 2010, Tupelo, Mississippi, with you getting your vehicle done. I even forget the name because it was George and whoever else with the engineering company that you would come to
Jeff
Tupelo.
Carter.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Such a long time. Do you still talk to them?
I do, yeah. I talked to Jeff Carter quite a bit here and there, so he's doing good. They're still in Tupelo, and they actually almost got hit by a tornado earlier this spring, or they did. Their shop got hit by a tornado, but thankfully it didn't cause too much damage.
Oh my God, that's so crazy. I need to reach out to him.
Out and stuff, so Jeff was a little bit worried, but it was that one that was coming in on the southwest side of Tupelo that the traffic cams picked up and then came into town, but thankfully it didn't cause too much damage in downtown.
Oh my God. Were you on that storm or no?
I can't remember. I think I was southwest of that. I was definitely chasing on that event, but I wasn't on the Tupelo one after dark. I kind of botched up a lot of the Dixie Alley setups earlier this spring, March 17, and that. I almost got a couple of those big tornadoes and saw a couple from far away, but I wasn't on the Tupelo one. You're in Atlanta now, right?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually, so I transitioned mostly out of weather. I still do 2 shows with the Weather Channel, but I also am a social media manager too. So awesome. I do kind of like a bunch of different things. So yeah, if you're ever in Atlanta, just let me know.
All right. I'll be driving through. My mom lives in the Greenville, South Carolina area, so I drive through Atlanta all the time.
Oh, yeah, definitely hit me up. Let me know. I love Greenville, by the way. It's awesome.
It's a good
all right. It's a crazy Saturday night special for the podcast.
Serena! Oh my gosh! I remember Serena from the OU days. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Wow, that's a blast from the past.
Right? I know. It's like you guys are like, oh my God, it's been 10 years. I'm like, try 20.
Yeah.
Try 20, which I don't even want to think about.
God, Serena, you're not that old, are you? Holy fuck. Wow.
Reed and I went to OU together 20 years ago.
I was in school for almost 20 years, too. I dragged it up for a long time.
Yeah, I think you were there longer than I was, but you also got a lot more chasing in. So.
That is true.
So no, it's cool. It's so fun to see you after, oh my God, 20 years.
Yeah, it's great to see you too. Where are you based now?
I'm in New Hampshire. I was hoping you were going to be coming out this way for Henry.
Henri. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was going to fly out today, but I decided at the last second not to make it. So I don't want to deal with roadblocks and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be a circus up there. I figured there's hundreds of storm chasers up there. So I couldn't. I figure I'll diversify the coverage and maybe cover the 2% tomorrow in Nebraska.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's great. Like in Long Island, it's like,
it's like a shifting east too. I think you could in Narragansett Bay.
Oh, nice. All right. I'm hoping it does because I'm going to have a little the further east it goes, the more fun I'm going to have tomorrow. So it's funny. I'm such a good mother. My whole family's camping out tonight. So we spent all day at the lake. I left to come here to actually get a shower and do this. And then we're going back because we want to be, at our camp on the pond when the storm comes in and like the wind and the rain and the craziness. So
well, watch out for flash floods.
Fun.
I don't know if there's going to be some debris plugs ripping down the slopes of Mount Washington or not.
Oh, no, I'm not up that high anymore. I'm down in the southern part of the state. But it's like in New England, it's been one of the wettest summers on record. And so the last thing we need is more rain. Like all the ponds, all the riverbanks, everything's already up so high. So I just can't even imagine what this, 2 to 5 inches of rain is going to do on top of what we already have. I mean, it's not a lot of wind we're expecting up here either, but when the soil's that wet, we're going to lose trees and it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I remember Hurricane Irene a while back created some mega flash floods there in Vermont. And
yeah.
New Hampshire. I think Hunter Mountain flooded pretty bad too.
Yep, it totally did.
Seem to be pumping out the mega precipitation though, as much as I would think. So
yeah,
who knows? I've kind of gotten really into hydrometeorology, chasing all these flash floods. I've even peeled off tornado warnings just to intercept flash floods now.
Oh wow!
David Rankin, he's the flash flood guru out there. Grew up in Big Water, Utah, and he kind of taught me the ropes on how to use topographic maps in combination with the hourly rainfall and kind of think like a fluid, behave like a fluid. And I've been working the burn scars out here in Colorado a little bit too, and those flash floods in Utah, and I was out in western North Carolina. But I love the floods.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, I love the tornado, many tornadoes for flash floods now.
So where's home base for you now? Is it Colorado?
Yeah, but I live on the road pretty much. So
yeah.
You have an apartment here in Colorado that I'm hardly ever at. But
where? Like what town?
It's in Golden, kind of west.
Oh,
of
nice.
Golden.
Okay. Yeah, I was in like 3 different suburbs. Well, 3 different times in my life lived in like 8 different suburbs of Denver. So
nice.
Everywhere from Golden to Brighton to
just to get the good snow, good upslope here. So
I
get a lot of good snow here.
Yep.
Garrett Beverly, one of our members here, said, "Did you guys see the flooding south of Nashville today?"
Yeah, that's crazy. Near Waverly.
Wow.
Well, 20. I guess radar indicated 20 inches of rain there in some spots. So
yikes!
Good Lord.
So
crazy. The gauges are showing like 12 to 15 inches.
Like
that's insane.
Crazy flood.
I remember in like Nashville, 2010, it was really bad, or 2011 when they got the really bad floods.
Yeah, 98 too. I think there were some in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Tornado was in downtown Nashville. I think there were some mega floods then too. Nashville floods a lot. Thankfully, this a little bit to the west. I think.
I don't think people realize it. That like Nashville, people gotta be careful where they buy houses. Like I always tell people, if someone's buying a house, I'm like, check the floodplain maps. Like, let me know. I'll like look at different things because it's dangerous. Hey, Phil.
Hi, just want to let you guys know we're doing a podcast tonight. By the way,
yeah.
So I don't want to keep everybody forever, especially Reed. But
hey, can we get more volume out of Reed? Can we get more volume out of you at all?
Oh, let me see. How do I go about doing that?
Can you do that from the settings, MJ? Can you do that from the StreamYard settings?
Yeah, I think it's up as far. I think I did that already. But
I can plug in and try to figure out.
Well, if you can, that might be better.
Give it a shot. Yeah, give it a shot, Reed. That might be good.
I've got to get it.
I'm hearing squeaking in the background too.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
coming from Angela. So when she's not on, we won't get that because I tested that out
Sounds like
before.
you got a
That's
mouse
okay.
over there.
It's a really loud truck. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
A little field mouse.
Do you have Angela? Do you have a way of muting? And then that way, because I was thinking of keeping you and Dan, not sending you back just because we have a smaller group.
Yeah.
Can you mute your phone at all, Angela?
Yeah, I can mute it.
Okay.
Because then it goes away. I had muted
Yeah,
it a
it's
couple times before to try it out.
Got it. Okay.
So
Cool.
I knew that's where it was
Need
coming
to get
from.
an adapter really quick to plug this in.
Yep, go ahead.
I'll be right back.
Curtis.
No, I saw that too.
I love you guys. I love the people with us on a Saturday night. This is awesome. This is so awesome. I love it.
We got, looks like Josh is on, Garrett, Curtis. Josh, we're doing one of your weather Trollbots tonight, by the way, that you sent.
How many did
then we
anyone
got-
come with weather fools tonight?
Dan and
I
I've
have
got
one.
like 5.
Okay,
I've got several too.
I couldn't find I couldn't find one. I was out at a
You're just
lake
not
all day.
looking hard enough, Serena.
Clearly, you guys have to clue me in on where you find these because I spend like
It's
a
called
lot of
social
time.
media.
Yeah,
like-
apparently I need more info, man.
Phil, I don't know what he does, but Phil finds like, I don't know.
I
all the
don't
weather
even
fools
look.
from-
They're always there.
Yeah.
They come to you. All right, I guess I'm just looking at the wrong places. So somebody's.
Tap.
All right, we're testing Reed here. Let's see.
Okay.
Oh, it's
So
okay.
go to your Reed. Go to your settings, the cam mic settings down at the bottom for StreamYard,
Okay.
the little gear, and then go to your
Do audio.
audio, and it gives you mic. Should have a pull down menu for mic.
Yeah, I'm on this now, so I should be on the Yeti stereo microphone.
Tap it. Yep, you got it.
You are. Can you turn up the gain on it? It's got a button on it, I think. Doesn't the Yeti have a button that lets you turn it up?
Hello? Is that better?
Hello. Check. Sibilance. Purple.
Hello?
Yeah,
That's maxed out gain.
that's good. I
Okay,
think
you just got to be
that
close
sounds
enough
better.
to it. Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, we look good. All right. So here's the plan. We'll keep. We'll go ahead and keep because we're a little shorter with our co-host tonight. We'll keep Dan and Angela on. Angela, we'll just need you to mute yourself during the show, and then on the breaks we'll do the same thing. You can unmute and stuff like that. But here's what we'll do. So I'm going to do the quick pre-opening. We'll make sure Angela, can you mute? There we go.
Field mouse.
Gotcha. All right. So I'll do the quick pre-opening that I normally do, and then the normal opening. Gonna quick cover. If you guys saw Ninja Weatherman Joe Moravsky, did you see he qualified for the finals of American Ninja Warrior?
I watched.
Did.
Oh my God, I didn't.
Yeah.
I need to.
So I've got a quick talk about that. We'll do happy hour, find out what everybody's drinking, introduce our co-hosts, and then I'm gonna just do a quick introduction about this as part 2 of this 3-part series we're doing, and then Serena, you've got Reed's intro.
Yeah, it's
And
the same one from the other night.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then we'll start the questions. And again, I just want to ask everybody a reminder because I think Maz probably had been drinking a little bit before the show, but with Skip and Victor last show. So the goal is to try and talk about target day forecasting, right? Mm-hmm. So so we can ask Reed questions about even tonight, like what do you do the night before? What are you looking at? And then day of, kind of the tools you use, stuff like that. Reed, as you're answering questions, if you want to pull up something and share your screen, like, hey, I look at this, or I go to this site, or here's some of the things, feel free to do that. Again, it's primarily an audio podcast. So just keep in mind that a lot of more people listen than watch. So kind of maybe explain, hey, I'm looking at this or I'm looking at that, but feel free to do that. So just a reminder to co-host, try and keep your questions along that route. Towards the end, if we've kind of exhausted all the, what are we trying to do on target day, and what are we looking for, then if you guys have other questions for Reed, we can throw those in there as well. But we'll take a quick break about bottom of the hour, maybe a little bit after here, and then take a quick break, come back to some more questions, and do the lightning round. Okay. Reed, you got any questions on anything? You good to go, buddy?
Nope, I'm good to go. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, again, thanks for coming on a Saturday, bud.
I've got $400 on the Broncos preseason coming up here at 8 o'clock. I'm all in on my preseason sports gambling account. I just won the bet, so I positioned myself to make this $400 on the Broncos. So hopefully they cover -4.5.
Who are they playing?
Seattle. But I figured out that with NFL preseason, when there's a quarterback competition, then it seems like they try to run the big offense a little bit longer. So I'm kind of going for the teams that have the quarterback competitions going. They like to give the second guy equal opportunity as the first, so they seem to still gun it down the field a little bit for a little bit longer.
Good. So we'll cover Reed's football forecasting in the second half of the program, and that sounds good.
Perfect. Perfect.
All right. So I'm going to do the quick pre-opening. So coming in, 3, 2. Hey, Storm Freaks, it's Phil, and we continue with part 2 of our storm training series. We got storm chaser Dr. Reed Timmer talking about forecasting your storm target. We'll also bring you more hashtag weather fools. We got Weather Trollbot 5000. It's all on episode 138 of the Stormfront Freaks. All right, I had to spit there for a little bit.
Yeah.
Got caught with some saliva in my. Okay, all right, let's get going. You guys ready to roll?
Yeah, do it.
All right, here we go. Coming in, 3, 2. Hey, welcome to the most entertaining weather podcast. This is the award-winning Stormfront Freaks podcast, part of the Stormfront Freaks network. Thanks to our Patreon members for supporting the show and joining us tonight. We've also got a new member, Candace has joined us as well. We got Dan and Angela are in the house. We got Curtis, Josh, Garrett. They're all live watching as well. You're going to want to join us because some of the guests we've got coming up soon, we've got Picos, Hank Shima, we got Ginger Z, Aaron J. Jack is going to be coming on, Reed, Jessica Moore, some great people, just a handful of the folks that you could see. You can also chat with live if you join us at patreon.com/stormfrontfreaks. And I wanted to ask you guys, I don't know if you saw this, I believe it was here this past weekend, I saw American Ninja Warrior and our old guest from episode 69, Joe Moravsky, the Ninja Weatherman. He qualified for finals, so he is going to Vegas, which he's done before. Awesome. He's done that before, but yeah, It was pretty cool to kind of see him still climbing, like a monkey on all those obstacles they have to do, which is crazy.
I wonder what they were named. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that?
It's a good point. And I might still have the sound bite from when he did our lightning round. So when Joe Moravsky was on the show, his lightning round, we called it, Reed, you'll like this, it was Toy or Obstacle. And so I would just give the name of something, and he had to answer, was it the name of one of the American Ninja Warrior obstacles, or was it the name of an adult toy? And you would be shocked. I'm gonna play this. You can listen to a little if you want. All right, the next one, it's called the Little Rooster. Oh, is that a toy or an obstacle?
I'm going unknown.
Yeah, we're gonna say toy on that one.
That is correct. That is a toy. All right, we got the battering ram. Is that a toy or an obstacle?
That is so incredibly awesome.
Joe, I'm so sorry.
Because it's an obstacle.
It is an obstacle. Believe it or not, the battering ram is an obstacle.
Oh, it's so good.
The pole grasper. The pole grasper.
Oh my
You know,
gosh.
the more we get into this game, the more I realize how they should probably change the names of these obstacles.
So,
because
yes.
that is an obstacle.
That is an obstacle. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun because, the names of these American Ninja Warrior obstacles they have to go through are questionable. Like the names are like, dude, that's kind of a weird name for a
He was
Ninja
good
Warrior
at it though. He
obstacle.
got 3 of the 3 there. I mean,
He did good. Yeah, he knew,
Impressive.
and then he got a kick out of it because he was like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize how dirty these sounded." How it was, but anyway, I also wanted to let you guys know it's happy hour. If you're not familiar with the show, every time we record, doesn't matter what time, and it happens to be Saturday night, which is kind of unique but perfect because it's a great way for us to introduce the co-hosts that are with us tonight and find out what they're drinking and let you know we like to have a lot of fun here. So I'm going to start. As I usually do with our producer and Skywarn coordinator up in Minnesota. MJ, what are you drinking?
Cleaning the fridge out of the Liney's summer shandy because,
Oh.
getting late in the season here.
It's hot, though, too. That's good. I've got some of that, too. I was going to grab.
nice choice.
All right, Serena, former meteorologist at the Mount Washington Observatory. What you got here tonight on the East Coast?
Tonight I am drinking a peach cobbler style sour ale.
Wow.
That's what I got. It's peach and cinnamon and beer. It's awesome.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Did you make it?
No. This comes from Mountains Walking Brewing Company out of Montana. It's amazing.
That sounds
Very
awesome.
nice. All right, Jen, so here, you got it, Jen. I'm now calling you a contractor at the Weather Channel, and I keep thinking you're a contract killer, but I just want when I say that, it sounds funny, like you're a contract. So, Jen, just so everybody knows, Jen is not a contract killer. She is a contractor with the Weather Channel, but also social media specialist. But what are you drinking?
Oh my God, you guys. So it's a struggle tonight. I actually have Patron and I was getting ready to have some fun, but I have coffee right now. I might have Patron later. But
Put it in the coffee. What the hell?
I know.
Yeah.
Get crazy. Get crazy.
Actually, it's true. They make coffee tequila, so I should do that.
Okay. So, all right. So I wanted, as I mentioned earlier, we got a special show tonight. It's part 2 of our 3-part storm training series. And the goal is we're trying to bring meteorologists and storm chasers who've created some of what I feel are the best training resources, presentations, and videos that they've created themselves. In the last episode, we had episode 137. We covered storm forecasting from, 30 to 14 to just 2 days out. And so tonight we're going to kind of be covering storm target forecasting. So Serena, go ahead and introduce our esteemed guest this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. So having intercepted over 1,000 tornadoes and a dozen powerful hurricanes, Reed is well known as the most successful and extreme storm chaser in the world. He's one of the few people to document both an EF5 tornado and an F5, Category 5 hurricane. So Reed, here we are. For those who know, we listen to the show, we record a little earlier than you hear it. Here we are, the eve of a, hurricane making landfall in an area that it hasn't made for, almost 30 years. So give us some idea of, what are people looking at? Where are you starting to, understand where you want to go and where's your target? It may be a little different for a hurricane, but, start cluing us in here a little bit on what do you start looking at the day before to figure out where you're going to go?
Well, first I have to decide if I'm going to go or not, certainly. And there is a different forecasting process for tropical cyclones versus tornadoes and supercell storms. I definitely have different criteria for those as well. It used to be that basically a Category 3 or higher hurricane, and I would go out and intercept every single one of those. But since I was working for AccuWeather, I'd intercept every single tropical cyclone, tropical depression, tropical storm, all of those. And so you're trying to dig out the worst of the impacts and be able to cover those safely as well, but also with immersive coverage to be in those conditions. And as a storm chaser, I like to experience firsthand the most extreme portion of the storms, the strongest wind, the heaviest rain. I've also really gotten into chasing flash floods as well through my friendship with David Rankin, who grew up in southern Utah, chasing the debris plugs and flash floods down there in the southwestern U.S., and he taught me a lot of those techniques for chasing flash floods. So I think with Henri, I would initially try to get right on the coast and definitely to the east of the center, because with these systems that are transitioning almost from a tropical system into an extratropical system. Their wind fields tend to expand. They often will be east side loaded with a lot of storm surge, well near the center and well off to the east. And then I would start looking for the bays and the concave portions of the shoreline where I think that the onshore flow will meet up with the concavities in the shoreline to try to look for the most prolific storm surge. A lot of times you're dealing with roadblocks out there too. Some of the areas that get the worst storm surge aren't accessible. Sometimes you have to get out there before the roadblocks are set up, and then you kind of have to keep a low profile when you're out there near the coastline to cover that storm surge firsthand. But one thing I've learned with hurricanes and tropical cyclones is it's an absolute circus out there, especially one that is hitting the East Coast. There's going to be nonstop media coverage. There's going to be stand-ups up and down the coast. Hundreds of storm chasers are going to be heading out there to shoot that video. Media is going to be saying what idiots we are for being out there, even chasing the storm. And it's just a massive circus when you're chasing a storm with such a gradual buildup as Henri. So I think that if Henri was a little bit stronger, maybe a Category 1 for sure at landfall, or a little bit stronger, or if I had some fire in my ass a little bit, I would head out there and definitely chase it. But I just got back from chasing the flash floods in western North Carolina, the mountains there, one of the biggest rainfall events ever in Pisgah National Forest. And then I just chased down a tornado a couple days ago near the Nebraska-Colorado border and actually lost my drone in that tornado. I went back to look for it, and the final GPS coordinates were right in the middle of a flash flood. So I'm a little bit tired, but normally I'd be out there standing on the coastline, slinging live briefings, letting everybody know that this thing is coming in. But definitely it is a different forecast process for tropical cyclones versus tornadoes. Tropical cyclones are a much more gradual buildup. It's like a locomotive coming from multiple days away. You know it's going to make landfall, and you just kind of have to stand there, cover the impacts, cover the preparation for the storm. It's more about the people than it is about the meteorology a lot of times for these tropical cyclones that are coming in on the East Coast as well. So you have to keep that in mind. But I'm definitely more into the small-scale finesse type storm chasing, like the tornadoes, the big-time hail, these flash floods, working the drainages and creeks and everything, and trying to figure out where the rainfall maxes intersect with these drainages. But definitely different forecasting techniques for hurricanes versus tornadoes.
So Reed, so you mentioned that. So you're talking. You obviously like the finesse of the more of the tornadoes and severe storms like that. What and you just early before we started the show, you talked a little bit about possibility of chasing Nebraska tomorrow. So talk a little bit about. So what are you looking at now tonight for that? As you talk now a little bit about tropical storms, what are you looking at tonight to kind of help before you go to bed? To kind of help you decide and think about target area and if you even want to chase it.
Yeah, I'll definitely chase, I think. If there's a non-zero chance of a tornado, I'll be out there. And I like to take a top-down approach initially, looking higher up in the atmosphere. First, I start to look at the shape of the troughs that are ejecting from the Rockies over the Great Plains. And I like those troughs that start off with a positive tilt and then gain a neutral tilt upon ejecting. I look for those troughs that are intensifying with time, basically that go from the shape where that trough axis is kind of stretched out from southwest to northeast to go into a more neutral tilt upon ejection. And I feel like those generate the most favorable wind shear north and south across large warm sectors. But even if you do have a positively tilted trough ejection, you can still carve out little areas within the warm sector where the conditions can come together, the kinematics and the thermodynamics to produce tornadoes. But I'm definitely into the shape of the troughs these days. Is it an intensifying upper level system, or is it weakening with time? Is it gaining a positive tilt and kind of shearing out over a summertime subtropical high pressure area? Factor in that as well. And if it's a more shearing out system with a positive tilt upon ejection, then I use a different technique to forecasting those types of systems. Usually they're more progressive. A lot of times the conditions will evolve a little bit more rapidly. I use a different set of models for those weakening, quickly shearing out type of upper level systems during the late season. But right now we're dealing with more ridge runners too. So oftentimes these storm systems, instead of digging out and gaining that negative tilt, or sometimes even transitioning to a positive tilt and then cutting off, usually they're weakening and they'll shear out over top of an anticyclone. So you look at different things for those types of systems.
Can I add, Reed, while you're talking about that, can you also mention, like, where are you finding that information, to help other people? So as you're talking about what you're looking for, help others know, okay, where are you finding that information and seeing that too? Sorry to interrupt, but I thought that would be important to share.
No worries. A great place is to look for forecast model data. Pivotalweather.com is one that I use quite a bit, run by some old friends at the University of Oklahoma. There, the weather.cod.edu page also has some great forecast models. And I look at usually the mid to upper portions of the troposphere when I'm looking at the shape of these troughs that are ejecting. I look at 500 millibars, 300 millibars up into the upper troposphere and try to look at the shape of the upper level systems ejecting. And then I start focusing in on the low level jet. So I'm a big kinematics person, which means that I really focus on the wind shear component. I believe that if a storm is surface-based and has a sufficiently low cloud base, and if it has wind shear that's properly aligned given the storm motion, then it's just physics and it's going to become a tornado-producing machine. So usually I look at the upper level system, the evolution of it. Is it transitioning to a neutral tilt and then to a negative tilt? And then I try to paint a picture of what the low-level jet might look like in my head given the shape of the upper level system and the upper level trough ejection. And then I look at the low level jet and just try to see how accurate my rendition of the low level jet might have been. And I look for the noses of those low level jets. There are certain things that I'm looking for where I think that tornado potential is maximized. Usually on the nose of strong low level flow, you often get more directional shear as well. I look at the nose of moisture surges within warm sectors, and I look at the presence of capping inversions as well to see if those storms are going to be surface-based. And I also look at a surface low track. So oftentimes, especially when you're chasing in the Mid-South out there, sometimes it can be advantageous to chase the absolute surface low track and then further south of the surface low. A lot of times the low-level flow can veer out a little bit. You can lose a little bit of your strong wind shear and those favorable critical angles. So I use all those websites, pivotalweather.com, weather.cod.edu. There are numerous model websites out there that are also pay. Tropicaltidbits.com is a great website to track tropical cyclones and look at hurricane reconnaissance data that's coming into real time as we have Henri that's heading toward the northeast. But then, of course, it's very important to look at that surface map. And I know a lot of old school meteorologists will bring out their colored pencil set and try to draw, on the map to do that and then do a little cool signature in the bottom right. Sometimes I'll do that with Microsoft Paint and a little Photoshop, but I kind of try to create the image in my head. I don't quite have the patience to, and I don't have a personal colored pencil set with that or a signature in the bottom right. But I definitely do try to do some analysis of the surface maps and the real observations that are coming in to try to see if those forecast models have an accurate initialization of the setup. And then you start looking at your convective allowing models. I personally dislike the HRRR model just because it handles low-level moisture so poorly, especially out here in the high plains and the higher terrain. So I'm definitely a 3-kilometer NAM type guy for the high plains, but I do use the HRRR where mixing out of moisture is not going to be a concern, and you have such deep moisture that it just can't possibly make a mistake. But a lot of times the HRRR is right for the wrong reasons. So I definitely start to look at those small-scale forecast models and go from a top-down type of an approach. And then at the very end, I'll start to look at composite reflectivity forecasts just to see if what I think is going to happen is playing out within the short-range forecast models.
So I have a quick question. When you take a look at all those different things, some of those are going to be more favorable for tornadoes. Some of those are going to be more favorable for large hail. What are some of those differences that you're seeing in those maps and that analysis you're just talking about that kind of indicate or lean a little way one way or the other more about what you're going to expect to see?
Well, with tornadoes, I definitely focus in on the low-level shear and the wind fields being properly aligned. So you need that storm motion to really turn in to the low-level jet and ideally be perpendicular to that low-level jet, a critical angle, relatively close to 90 degrees. Hodographs are a great tool to analyze just how favorable low-level and deep layer wind shear are for tornadoes and supercell storms. My old office mates at the University of Oklahoma, Don Giuliano and John Esterheld, actually invented the critical angle. So you hear about the critical angle mentioned a lot on these hodograph plots, and they showed that a 90-degree critical angle is ideal because you're pulling in purely streamwise vorticity at the low levels. But as long as storms are surface-based and they have a significant or sufficiently low cloud base and the wind shear is properly aligned, and you have at least 20 knots, 20, 25, 30 knots of a low-level jet, then the physics are such that that storm will likely turn into a tornado-producing machine. But you also have to look at storm mode and whether you're going to get supercell storms or if it's going to be a squall line. And for that, I look at the speed of the initiating boundary, whether it's a cold front, a dry line, a Pacific front. And if that the speed of that initiating boundary is slow enough relative to the storm motion that is perpendicular to that advancing boundary, then those storms are going to be able to move off that boundary no problem and then become supercell storms, and you're not going to get a forced convective evolution where you get a skinny squall line surging at like 100 miles an hour and, you know, almost like a little bit of a squall, type of a squall line situation. But I also I do hail forecasts as well, and there are some setups that are primed for hail that don't look as good for tornadoes. And I think that an important part in hail forecasting is definitely geography and the location of those storms, usually in the high plains, further west. If it's a supercell storm and it's rotating with a mesocyclone, it's going to be capable of producing gorilla hail, likely larger than baseball size. If it's a rotating updraft and it's in the high plains, you're going to have a stout elevated mixed layer. You're also going to have a lot of directional shear as well. I've noticed that those shear profiles where directional shear is a bigger contribution than the speed shear, you usually get bigger hail with those setups. And then out in Dixie Alley, where you get more speed shear contribution, more unidirectional profiles with height, where most of that wind shear is contributed from the speed instead of the direction, then sometimes those storms will hardly produce hail at all. And one thing I've noticed with those big Great Plains events where you get like 6,000, 7,000 cape, just because you have high cape doesn't mean it's going to produce big time hail. And in fact, I've seen some of the largest hail I've ever seen are on the lower end cape days with a really strong directional shear. But I definitely do look for those storms that are producing very large hail because I enjoy chasing massive hail and blowing out my windows 4 to 5 times a year, equally, if not even more than intercepting tornadoes.
Oh my gosh, Reed, I feel like we could talk to you for like, you know, a day or more about all this. This is so fascinating. And I just would love to ask you, since you've traveled all over the country chasing storms, is there anything you specifically look at differently in the, you know, typical Tornado Alley compared to Dixie Alley and like the Ohio River Valley? Is there something like distinctive that you found in your chasing that you're like, oh, I have to make sure I look at this specific indice more and weigh that more than others when it comes to chasing in those different areas?
Definitely. There's definitely different things that I look for in Dixie Alley versus the High Plains. And I try to look for a theme or a personality in the outbreaks, starting with Dixie Alley, which is usually in the early spring. Sometimes it'll go into the middle part of the spring as well. But you start to establish a personality for the ejecting troughs pretty early on in the Dixie Alley season. And for example, this year, I started noticing that this was the event of the prefrontal trough and kind of the prefrontal band of supercell storms that would develop well ahead of the front and usually well south of the surface low as well, because complexes of storms would get going and kind of curtail the northward progression of the nose of the low-level jet. So this year was definitely the year to head south and play those prefrontal troughs, play the instability. The maximum of wind shear would often be a little bit further south of the surface low. I picked up on that personality of the Dixie Alley setups a little bit late this year, and even when I did pick it up, I still found a way to botch those early Dixie Alley setups and missing a lot of tornadoes. So it would have been smart to play well out in advance of these setups and allow these storms to come to you, because those prefrontal troughs were firing all the supercells. And if you played the surface low track, it wouldn't have been as effective in Dixie Alley as previous years. But then a couple of years ago, and like 2015, 2016, and back in the Yazoo City day too, in 2010, that big outbreak where it was just one lone storm, then it was smart to target directly the surface low track, which would often be rapidly ejecting. So if you fell behind the surface low, the low-level shear would often veer out, and then there wouldn't be any tornadoes to the south of the surface low. But right along the surface low track, even a lone supercell storm would anchor on that surface low and produce a tri-state tornado like happened with the Yazoo City event. So I try to look for certain personalities that will play out, whether it's a Dixie Alley season or traditional Great Plains or High Plains Insanity or the Corn Belt with derechos and those Ridge Runner type setups, which would have been big time this year to play at. I should have rented an apartment for the summer in Davenport and just chased southern Wisconsin and northeastern Iowa, southeastern Minnesota all summer, and you would have seen a lot more tornadoes. But it was definitely the season of the outflow boundary as well in the Great Plains this year, and I was so upset with that personality of the Great Plains season that I refused to target the outflow boundaries. I feel like outflow boundaries are kind of a way to cheat wind shear and to generate favorable conditions for tornadoes when it's not there on a larger scale with a large ejecting trough. But it's definitely important to pick up on the personalities of the different regions as the year plays out and then hedge those ways despite what the models are showing. Like this year would have been a great idea to hedge south and east and just play Meridian, Mississippi over and over again, kind of the southeastern mode, a little bit south of the ejecting surface low there in Dixie Alley.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's always storm season, and obviously the tropical storms are here with Henri already coming in. At helicity.co/SFF, they've got a huge selection of weather and hurricane-themed merchandise, including Stormfront Freaks shirts, beverage containers, stickers, you name it. All you got to do is go to their exclusive site at helicity.co/SFF, and you're going to earn 5% off your entire order. And while you're there, don't forget to click on the Brands tab, and that's where you're going to find all your Stormfront Freak favorites. Again, that's at helicity.co/SFF. So it's time for a break. We'll be right back with more from Reed, so stay tuned. Cool. All right. Awesome.
Nice.
This is going great, Reed. Thank you. Angela and Dan. So Reed, Angela and Dan, they're a couple of our VIPs that have been with us here for a while, but I always want to give them an opportunity. If you guys have a quick question for Reed while we're on break here, fire away if you guys got something. Or
It's
not?
okay if you don't.
That's all right. Yes, it is.
Go ahead, Angela.
For hearing my Bluetooth, like, I don't know what it did. But,
There we go. Now we got you.
I was going to say thank you for doing this. Definitely.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, this has been awesome. I wish Quincy could be with us. Storm Chaser Q. I'm a big fan of his work and everything as well. But if I also respect the introvert, I am one actually myself, believe it or not.
Yeah, it was. I think I told you Quincy actually was one of our initial co-hosts on this show when we started like 5 years ago, and he was on like episode 1 and 2, and then he dropped off after that. But so yeah, we were actually looking forward to trying to have him back for the first time since then, 5 years later. But I know he was yeah, he had some, I had asked him early on if he'd be available Saturday, and he was seeing some friends out of town this weekend and wasn't available. And normally I would just reschedule. If it was a typical show, I'd just go, all right, let's just reschedule for another one of our shows later on. The problem is we're in the middle of this 3-part series we're trying to do. And so I can't take part 2 and do it, 4 weeks from now, and I got part 1 and 3, but I don't have part 2 yet, and so we made it work. I appreciate it.
Oh,
Dan,
yeah.
you got something?
Well, I was kind of wondering, Reed, you were talking about the HRRR and how it doesn't handle moisture in different geographic areas. Where would you maybe draw the line from like a south to north, where you might stick more to the NAM 3-kilometer than the HRRR?
Well, High Plains, definitely Texas Panhandle up through western Kansas, western Nebraska, western Dakotas, and all of Canada, pretty much. I consider all of Canada High Plains just because it's almost always new moisture up there. So really anywhere there, west and northwest, I'm more of a 3-kilometer NAM person just because it seems to overmix dew points. It'll underdo the dew points out here by 10 degrees. It doesn't handle the post-frontal environments very well. I feel like in the Corn Belt, where you get MCSs and you need to assess kind of the rate of destabilization behind those MCSs, and the RAP is a very good model that does a really good job at predicting whether or not an atmosphere will recover after a complex of storms. But really anywhere there to the east, I'll use the HRRR. There to the west and northwest, I'll never use it. Those situations in the early spring where it's new moisture too, they'll overmix that moisture and will kind of underdo the moisture. March 13 was a big one this year in the Texas Panhandle, where the NAM models are showing a big-time outbreak for days in advance, whereas the HRRR just kind of picked up on it the day of for the wrong reason. So I think those geographical areas, I'm more of a 3-kilometer NAM type person, more of a NAM model. I understand its biases a little bit more. The HRRR, I have difficulty kind of understanding why it's right for the wrong reasons. And there's a lot of noise with it. It seems like run to run every hour or so. It'll be different with setup. So I've just missed a lot more tornadoes using the HRRR to forecast, especially further west and off to the east. But down in Dixie Alley and in the Corn Belt, where you have 80-degree dew points, and it doesn't matter if it underdoes the dew points by 3 or 4 or 5 degrees, and it seems to be a good model there. And once the storms have already formed and you're kind of predicting where an MCS or a squall line is going to evolve, it does a decent job with that. Nocturnal convection as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Cool. Garrett Beverly had a quick question about read your new show Storm Rising, when it's going to be on Nat Geo. Do you know when it's debuting?
Well, I hope that it does see the light of day at some point. Sometimes you do these shows and they can be clunkers for the first couple of years, but this one, the first season, I feel like we were chasing down all those hurricanes. It was a record-breaking hurricane season. Mike Tyson and I had to sleep in a van for a lot of the season during the pandemic. So I think that it was a really good season, and it was well shot, well produced, and I hope that it does air eventually. It's airing internationally right now, and I think they're kind of testing it out to see what the ratings will do. But instead of doing a season 2 this year, Disney decided to postpone that. They want to see how the ratings will do first before they devote resources on a season 2. But it definitely would have been a great season to do it. There would have been tornadoes, and now we have an active hurricane season, the flash floods and debris plugs. But I'm hoping that it airs here in the U.S. in October. That's the last that I heard, is that it's going to air kind of in the late fall out here. So we'll see what happens.
Cool.
If it gets good enough ratings, then it'll keep going. If it doesn't, then it definitely will.
Wait for the next one. That's right.
TV is a little different these days than it used to be. It used to be, every Sunday night or Thursday night or whatever time the show would air, everybody would get ready and sit in front of the television and watch it for an hour. Now, content is so available across so many different sources, with social media kind of dominating the content line of things. And, I could reach 10 to 20 times more people with just firing up Facebook and shooting a live video of me cooking sloppy joes, for example, than a full episode airing on a big network. So things have definitely changed dramatically, I think.
That is true.
All right, well, let's do this. Looks like Tim joined us in the chat as well, so glad you joined us, Tim. Let's jump. We'll get started here with the second part. So we'll come out of break. Reed, I'll start with a question. We'll try and keep this next segment little quicker before we jump to. When you hear that, it's time for our lightning round. So we'll do our game show. Reed, we'll play a little game show with you, and then we'll go to our second and final break. Okay.
Okay.
Anybody got questions? Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
Angela and Dan, if you guys can mute yourself again, but it's good to have you.
They are.
Visually, I can see you now, I like that. So, all right, so here we go. We're coming in. If I can find here we go. 3, 2. Hey, welcome back. It's the second in our 3-part storm training series. We got Reed Timmer sharing some great knowledge already. And Reed, so we talked a little bit about kind of what you're looking at night before you go to bed, kind of things you're looking at, models you're looking at, even I'm sure probably very similar the day of. But tell me a little bit about when you're getting up in the morning. What are the differences you're looking for, and or the differences that maybe scare you away from what you saw before you went to bed, and then what you saw when you got up in the morning that might make you either more excited or ready to maybe call off something you were going to chase?
Well, one of the biggest deal breakers with storm chasing are the evolution of overnight complexes of storms, or MCSs, especially this year when a lot of the setups kind of had diffuse upper level patterns, and you get the development of these big complexes of storms that would evolve overnight. And sometimes if those complexes of storms are big enough and overwhelming, then they can prevent the atmosphere from destabilizing during the next day, and they could definitely totally destroy a severe weather event. Even some of the really big ones, some of the biggest outbreaks, a lot of times they're associated with a lot of upper level energy, a lot of cyclonic curvature aloft, and they're very effective at generating these nocturnal complexes of storms. So that's one thing that I look at when I wake up first thing in the morning, is I try to see if there's a complex of storms, or how big is it? Is the atmosphere going to recover back behind that complex as well? So that's one of the things that I definitely look at. Sometimes those complexes of storms are needed, though. They can leap behind an outflow boundary, basically acting as almost a pseudo warm front that can enhance wind shear along it. It can enhance moisture thermodynamics as well. So sometimes those complexes of storms are needed depending on the setup. If it's one of those corn belt type setups where the upper level system is shearing out over top of a ridge, sometimes those have kind of marginal wind shear, and they need an outflow boundary left behind by a complex of storms to really get those ingredients necessary for tornadoes. So sometimes when I wake up in the morning, I'm hoping there's a complex of storms and an outflow boundary is getting left behind. And if there is, then I start analyzing the short range models, and I try to assess if the atmosphere is going to have the ability to recover afterward. I use the RAT model a lot for that. And you use a lot of visual observation, a lot of radar, a lot of surface obs as well, to kind of see just how strong that stable air is being generated by a complex of storms. And then I also make sure that the shape of the ejecting upper system hasn't changed too dramatically as well. And I make sure I'm charging everything, charging my drone, my cameras. I'm making sure that Gizmo produces a stool. It's very important for Gizmo to take a dump the morning of a storm chase, because it kind of sends all the energy, all the good vibes get going. And then oftentimes we see a tornado.
That goes both ways too, buddy.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a good stool.
Yeah, especially in our middle ages. That's kind of one of the things that we're banking on, is producing a good quality bowel movement in the morning. And with Gizmo being an older dog, it's definitely, sometimes she'll go 3 days without going to the bathroom. She hedges a little bit on the constipation side, and when we're on the road and she's constantly driving with me, then it even gets a little bit worse. So I start getting OCD about it, and all I can think about it. Sometimes we'll even start at like 4 a.m, start going on walks just to get that stool produced ahead of the storm chase.
Oh my God, I feel like we've got a weird peek behind the scenes. It's like, oh, Reed didn't have a good storm chase day today. His dog didn't go to the bathroom. I mean, that's really what it ties down. It comes back to.
Spit it out, man.
That's what everybody's tuning in for, I'll tell you that right now. Right?
So tell you what, like going back in time, so I remember chasing in the early 2000s out in Oklahoma. And there were some interesting, I guess I call them theories for lack of a better term right now, where it's like, small bulges in the dry line and interesting peaks in the dew point and all this kind of stuff. What are some of these odd little nuances? I don't even want to call them like wives' tales, but maybe some things that some people would have considered to be the case beforehand, where you're like, actually, these are really good indicators to help me target, where to go. Do you ever see things like that with specific, measurements that you're like, oh, that actually gives me some idea where to go?
I certainly do, and I still hang my hat on a lot of those as well. Some of those old school theories that we had back in the day when we first started storm chasing. The dry line bulges, the little mesoscale bulges within the dry line. You can get more convergence, a little bit of back low level flow as well to kind of enhance that low level shear. So I'm definitely looking for bulges in the dry line or any initiating boundary as well as we used to back in the day. But when I was in school at OU, a lot of people wouldn't chase a storm if it had under 3,000 CAPE. I remember CAPE was a really big deal back then, but we've kind of learned now that low-level shear is definitely a bigger deal. And as long as the cloud base is sufficiently low and it's a surface-based storm, then if you have strong wind shear that's properly aligned, then you're going to get tornadoes. But back in the day, everyone was like, man, if it has below 3,000 cape, I'm not even chasing, even though I would chase all the setups no matter what, just because I love to storm chase so much. I think that kind of bit those people in the ass a lot by not chasing those lower cape, high shear days. But that's one theory that was around in the early days of the late 90s into early 2000s that I think has definitely been debunked. And we didn't have social media back then as well. So when you're storm chasing and you start to have all this information flooding in real time, radars, short range models, other storm chasers saying the storm that they're on, I think it's important to block out a lot of that information and just focus on your journey, focus on your storm chase. And then afterward, then you can look and see what all the other storm chasers have seen. And because now it seems like being aware of a tornado that's out of reach can definitely be have a crippling effect on your storm chase and can cause you to miss tornadoes, and it can cause your main target area for you to lose sight of your original forecast. So I think that the key to modern storm chasing is being able to filter through that information, sticking to what you know and how you storm chase, and kind of chasing how the old school people did, that where if you're on a rotating storm, you chase that thing until it dies because you're simply not aware of the other storms that are around you. And I think that that's kind of a happier, more effective way to storm chase. But there's a lot of great, valuable information that comes in really quickly and fast. And I think being able to learn how to filter out the bad information and using that information to your gain is important. And definitely using visual interpretation of the storms out there as much as you can, because your eyes don't lie to you. When you see a storm that looks like it has a chance of producing a tornado and it's already going through the motions, radar is not going to provide you any information that's going to help out with that storm chase. So I think it's important to use your eyes. That's the most valuable tool out there when you're storm chasing.
So Reed, I want to play off of Serena's question when it comes to like specific things that you look at in an area. And one of the things is like topography. Oh my gosh, hi.
There's Gizmo.
Gizmo is so adorable. Hi. Oh my goodness. Welcome to the show. You're so adorable. So Reed, I have to ask you, ask you really quick, when it comes to topography, like we have in Atlanta, we've got like a mini tornado alley in like Noonan. Is there anything specific you look at in different regions?
Yeah, and there's definitely kind of hot spots that I've learned over the last 20, 25 years or so, where I know that if a storm is approaching a hot spot, of course, Moore, Oklahoma is one of those, southwestern Nebraska, northern Kansas, south central Kansas, Noonan there, western Georgia, eastern Alabama, those plateaus up there kind of working the terrain. So I do think that it is important to keep an eye on those hot spots, because they're definitely happening for a reason. Sometimes not meteorological, sometimes geological, or the shape of the terrain, the geographical reasons on why those tornadoes are happening. But I think that it is important to keep in mind those hot spots. And sometimes, for example, I would deviate away from the I-44 corridor because the parameters look better in north central Oklahoma. And that caused me in 2015 to miss the tornado that actually hit my house. And Gizmo was inside my house there in Norman when it was hit by the EF2. It blew the windows out, did some roof damage there. And that was an I-44 storm that developed down there, down near Lawton, and came right up I-44 and then ended up hitting my house. And Gizmo intercepted that tornado. The Dominator 1 was broken down in my driveway. That intercepted it. And I was working for Channel 4 on a different storm up near Fairview, Oklahoma. But if I had been more respectful of that hotspot, the I-44 corridor there, then I likely would have hedged a little bit south and then saw that storm developing down near Lawton and just, hung out in my backyard and had a picnic and then watched the tornado hit my house.
Oh my gosh.
But then the next day, my windows were blown out by baseballs that came in horizontally. Another supercell came in, and my whole family was down at OU for graduation. Fine. And then the next day, all my windows were blown out by a destructive hailstorm. And I had the low-level insurance. I'm not very good with paperwork, so I kind of had the default insurance too. So I ended up getting like a Fisher-Price roof.
Oh my gosh, Reed, that is so crazy. And I have one more quick question before the lightning round, but I have to ask you, when it comes to like nowcasting and hurricanes and like forecasting like the eye of the hurricane and like if it shifts really quickly, is there any like tips you have for anybody chasing Henri tomorrow, or like, hurricanes or tropical cyclones in the future?
For Henri, I would hedge off to the east. So the people that are thinking about staying on the eastern tip of Long Island, I think that you're setting yourself up for a bust there. Maybe some offshore flow on the western side of that circulation. And if you know that the impacts are going to be relatively uniform way off to the east of the center, I wouldn't be so focused on getting that pressure minimum in the middle of the eye. I think that the impacts are what are going to be what you need to chase and also cover and help people, warn people in the path of this storm with the rapidly evolving storm surge. So I think covering the surge near and to the east of the center and targeting those inlets within the bay where you can get close to the ocean safely, that's what I would recommend. And I think that this thing's going to shift off to the east. I have a feeling that the Bermuda High kind of being anomalously strong here these days, I think it's going to slide underneath the system and kind of prevent that northwestern turn over top that upper level low in the central Appalachians. So I'd recommend heading toward Narragansett Bay or even Martha's Vineyard. I think that could get some pretty bad impacts there, but you don't get as much of a storm surge because it kind of wraps around the island. So maybe the Falmouth area, you could get some easterlies that'll pile up the water inside of that cove there. East of the center. That's the key.
Good summary. Good wrap up. But hey, that's the sound. It's time for our lightning round. And so this is, Reed, this is our game show. You've been on before, but our game show of flashy and brilliant questions that we always play with our guests. And we always invite everybody to play along with us. So tonight, and you've brought it up a couple times now with Gizmo tonight. So we're going to play a game. It's going to be good old Gremlins trivia. Gremlins trivia.
Oh no! I don't know anything.
So it was a shot in the dark, but does Gizmo's name have anything to do with the movie Gremlins?
It kind of does. She looked like a gremlin when we first got her. And so that is where it came from. It did come from the movie Gremlins, but she grew up in a storm chaser house where like 10 of us storm chasers lived. So we saw her and we're like, wow, she's a Gizmo. This looks like Gizmo. So
all right. Well, so we're just doing good old Gremlins trivia, and I'm gonna make it easy. I've just got a few general statements, but really it's true or false. You just have to say if you think the statement is true or if it's false. And the co-hosts, our freaks, can chime in if they feel, I guess they've got something to share. So here's the first one. Read. The original Gremlins script included the Gremlins eating Billy's dog, then decapitating his mom and throwing her head down the stairs. Is that true or false?
False. Oh no!
That is true. That in the original script, now that obviously has changed, but the very first script was a little dark.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Little dark. All right, here's the next one. Adam Sandler is the voice of Gizmo. True or false?
False.
That's correct. It's actually Howie Mandel. Howie Mandel.
Oh, how about that?
Was the voice of Gizmo. All right, here's the next one. Michael Winslow. Now, Michael Winslow, if any of you remember the old Police Academy movies, he was the guy that made all the sounds and all that stuff. And here, true or false, he helped voice the Gremlins. Is that true or false?
Gotta be true.
That is true. All right, and then Gremlins came out right in the 80s. So true or false, actors like Emilio Estevez and Judd Nelson were in contention for the role of Billy. So both of those guys were Breakfast Club actors, right? But true or false, they were in contention to play Billy.
False.
That was true. They actually were.
Build up to that question for a false.
What kind of movie would that have been with Emilio Estevez in it? I don't know. All right, here we go. At one point during the writing of the movie, Gizmo and Stripe, who was like the evil gremlin villain, Gizmo and Stripe were actually supposed to be the same character. So Gizmo turned into Stripe. Is that true or false?
True.
It's actually true. At one point that was the case, and I think I read they determined Gizmo was too cute to change, and So they kept it. All right, we got 2 more. Gremlins came out at Christmas 1984. True or false?
That seems a little bit early. I'm going to go false.
It is false, but it did come out in 84, but it was a summer release, not a Christmas release.
Oh, wow.
But many people think it's a Christmas movie because it happens over Christmas, right?
Yeah.
All right, here's the last one. Producer Steven Spielberg said he would not have cast Phoebe Cates as Kate if she had done her topless scene in Fast Times at Ridgemont High prior to Gremlins. True or false?
Can you please repeat the question?
So,
There was a lot of questions.
That was a lot of words.
So Steven Spielberg, he was the producer. He said he would not have cast Phoebe Cates, who played Kate. He would not have cast her had she done her topless scene in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. If that was done before Gremlins, he would not have cast her. Is that true or false?
I'm going to say false.
That is correct. That she actually did do that movie before Gremlins, and so they still cast her. So, all right.
Good job, Reed.
That was great.
Very good. Very, very
You did
good.
that movie better than you thought you did.
That's right. All right, go Gizmo. I heard Gizmo answered a couple of those questions for you. Was probably checking Google while you were trying to answer those. So, Reed, do us a favor. Tell us a couple things. First, how can listeners find you and your content online? But if you can also talk a little bit, I know you've been doing some teaching, some online courses. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, you can find me at Reed Timmer, Reed Timmer 2.0 on Facebook, and Reed Timmer Acu on Twitter. And I am doing some classes with Varsity Tutors. We've already done like 3 classes so far. And the next class, which is coming up, is in late September. And that's going to be on how to be a storm chaser. So I'm going to kind of paint the roadmap on becoming a storm chaser and what it takes. You hear Gizmo is extra fired up about this.
He's got to dump. He's got to take a dump, man.
Yeah, she might. She went this morning, actually. She already went this morning, so I was pretty excited about that. So I think that she wants bacon and probably her CBD oil, too. She takes doggy CBD, so she's probably ready for that. So we could both start winding down. Our bedtimes are both at about 9 o'clock. We're early risers now in our old age. So
God, you are getting old. Holy crap. Well, good. Well, appreciate you taking your time. Everybody, we're going to go ahead. We will take our final break so Gizmo can take a dump. We got more hashtag WeatherFools coming up and a visit from Weather Trollbot 5000. So stay with us.
Woo. Nice.
Cool. Reed,
awesome.
so Reed, you can take Gizmo out if you want. You're welcome to stick around for this last couple of segments with Weather Trollbot and stuff like that. This kind of when things get really crazy. Or you can take off. It's fine either way. But
okay, I'll hang and watch.
Stick around. Do you need to take care of Gizmo while we're on a little break here? Or?
No, she's okay. I think she's there's probably no reason for her barking right now. I think she might have heard something outside.
She just wants to participate.
That's right.
Yeah.
We'll quick see. I saw we got Steve. Steve had jumped on as well. So Steve was watching. I'm just seeing if anybody's got Dan or Angela. You guys are welcome to jump in if you got anything else.
Timothy's on too now.
Okay. Yeah. I saw Tim. I had mentioned that.
Oh, did you? Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, get this gluten-free beer now.
No kidding, really?
Ooh.
Yeah, I found out that I'm kind of gluten intolerant after 15 years of drinking gluten beer in college.
And eating pizza and having Subway and.
Yeah, and I walked through a wheat field and it gives me all these boils on my legs. So, I should have known that I'm allergic to wheat.
Wow.
It's just bad news.
Wow.
You just got to take in the rice beer. Tastes pretty good, though.
It's amazing how far beer has come from 20 years ago.
Yeah, it has. Lots of things have come a long way. 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's funny because I remember like chasing him being at OU, and I remember the first time I was able to pull up like an image of a radar reflectivity on my cell phone and just being like, "This is amazing." And it's just crazy to look at like what's available now. It's almost disgusting.
Yeah. I remember when we were at that bar that was across the street from the dorms, and we were there, and there was this group of people that included Michael Armstrong and Shane Adams, and these guys came up to me and they started talking to me. They're like, "You see that guy over there?" And they pointed at Shane, and he had this long hair. I think he had a mullet back then. And you're like, "That guy looks at the models." It was like a huge deal, you know. Like, that guy over there, he looks at the models. That was like a big deal.
That's amazing.
It's 98.
Oh man.
Angela, Dan, you guys got anything?
No, thanks.
You good?
Though.
You good?
I guess my curiosity is like the huge following. What's the pros and cons of having such a huge following?
Pros and cons to having a huge following.
There are mostly pros because it makes it possible to storm chase and do what I love for a living. But sometimes when you're out there storm chasing, every time I stop at a gas station, it turns into a meet and greet sometimes. But I also enjoy it. You know, I'm really appreciative for meeting everybody out there. But kind of being a little bit more of an introvert, sometimes it causes you to step out of your comfort zone a lot of times. But most of the time it's positive. I just kind of have, I don't get out too much. So, but yeah, most of the time it's positive. But definitely there are negatives. Like Storm Chasers was a pretty crazy time, flying all over the country doing promo and everything, and like speaking events. And I was on the road like 330 days a year, and I was trying to finish up grad school at the same time. And that kind of started feeling like a hamster in a wheel and started having some negative impacts on my health a little bit, I think. And I've been burnt out ever since.
That's a life of being burnt out now.
Trying to get my pants out in the morning sometimes.
All right, let's do this. So we're going to come back out of break. Jen, you can introduce what hashtag WeatherFools is. And I have 5 of them to quick cover, but I'll go through them fast.
I have 4.
Everybody share your screen if you've got something to share.
It might be just you and I, or are there others?
I have one. I'll probably go first,
good.
and I'll just toss it to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Jen, you're going to come in on the Who, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I'll play that when you're coming in.
Yeah.
So it's Jen, me, and MJ's got some of those. And then Jen, finish with episode 138 show notes.
Stormfrontfreaks.com, episode 138 show notes.
Very good. All right. And then Serena, you introduce Weather Trollbot 5000 to a little Mr. Roboto. Reed, you'll like this one. Weather Trollbot. This will be a good one for you to be exposed to. This is Stormfront Freaks. This is really Stormfront Freak. This is when we shine, or not.
It's great.
It's a dull shine.
Yeah, it's a very dull shine. So I'll quick do Weather Trollbot, and then MJ. Do we have any Freak fan box stuff?
Yes, we do.
Okay, and then we'll close up. All right. Anybody with any questions? Are we ready to roll? Is everyone sharing screen? Jen, are you sharing your screen?
Yes, she's got it.
Yep. Okay. All right. So Jen, I'm going to bring you in. You ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
Here we go. 3, 2.
All right, guys, are you ready? It is WeatherFool time, and this is, I think, Phil's favorite part of the show because he comes with like a million different, videos to show us, but he's got like 5 today. But I'm going to go first, and WeatherFools is basically videos, photos of people that we see doing stupid things in weather and that they shouldn't be, and we're just like, why are you doing this? We've talked about why you shouldn't be doing it and so many other things, yet they still do it. And this is recent. Actually, Reed, I know, was, chasing the flooding right around this area, but this is the west side of Phil. And I'm going to play this clip. I purposely stopped it at this point. And so what's going on, since obviously this is a podcast, there was extreme flooding in western North Carolina, and you've got all these roadways covered with this muddy water. You can see tree branches and everything. And you just watch a car, you can hear it raining, and you watch this car like completely just driving on through, not, caring at all. And you have no idea what the road is like underneath it, but it's absolutely crazy.
Debris everywhere. So
yeah, there is debris everywhere. And I'm just like, you're destroying your engine. You have no idea what you're going to run over. Are you going to get stuck? I mean, it's wild. Reed, did you see some of these like similar images when you were chasing the flooding?
Yeah, I was initially worried that was going to be video of Dominator 4 heading through that flood.
No, not you. Reed, you're okay. You're not a weather fool.
I have my moments.
No, we talk about it all the time. We're all hashtag weather fools. We're if you're a chaser, a lot of times you're a hashtag weather fool. But
this is true. This is very true. All right, Phil, you've got 5.
Yeah, so I've got a few I'm going to share, and I always tell people this is our contribution to the National Weather Service's Weather Ready Nation, is by showing people what you should not do. But this is Rock the South concert in Cullman, Alabama, and you can see the storm moving in, and look at all these people outdoors getting ready for this. If they're not already watching the Rock the South concert. With storm clouds moving in, but my guess is that's not going to turn into a good sight. The second one I've got is, of course, some flash flooding. This is in Illinois, and these are some pictures, but some of the pictures start to zoom in on this. It's like a street that is a residential street that's flooded. There's some vehicles and trucks that aren't going through the street, but part of it is because if you look closer, there's some dude. There's a dude laying in the middle of the street. He's laying down in the water.
Got his hands up.
With the, what do you call that?
Like a rock on
hand signals.
Yeah.
Texas Longhorn, rocking, like laying right in the middle of the street.
What an idiot.
Oh my gosh.
He's a flash flood enthusiast.
He is a
Apparently.
On his back.
Is that Reed? No, I'm just kidding.
He's got
David Rankin down there, a flash flood guru in his natural habitat.
He's got a safety green on, so just to make sure he doesn't get hit. All right, the next one, more flooding, but this is down in Mexico, and again, this is a kind of a residential little business section street. And you can tell like the intersection here is completely underwater, and there's a nice black SUV that's going to come in and think it's going to be able to go through this flowing water.
What? What the heck?
And it just gets there goes the front bumper, because this is flow. I mean, this water's moving, right? This is
you had to see that was moving. Holy cow!
Oh my gosh!
But yes, it's whether he backed out. He did back out.
Whoa! And then there's.
Did you see that other one come by?
Flying by in the front backwards.
Going backwards. He's going with the current though, so that that was helpful. Anyway,
I can't believe he got out of that.
I was just about to say, I can't believe
that's
he was
true.
able to reverse.
That he wasn't swept away, or she, whoever it was.
Yeah,
right?
it ripped the bumper off, but
Yeah.
the car could still drive out. That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, next one. So this is kind of fun. So this is this. By the way, I believe this is an Atlanta Braves game. No, Philadelphia Phillies. Sorry, this is at the Phillies. I think they were playing the Braves. But I'm going to play this, and you can see they're playing the game. There's people out, there's players out there. The stands are full. And then watch behind the Jumbotron.
There's the
Wow. Look
little
at that,
little streak of lightning. A crawler.
I'd call that a big streak of lightning.
Yeah, big streak crawling across like right there, and they're still playing the game.
Crawler.
It's so.
God, Major League Baseball is the worst at making calls
are.
on that stuff. And then the last one I've got for you, read more flash flooding. There's a lot of this going on, right? Turn around, don't drown. This is in, where's this? Omaha. Flash flooding in Omaha. And all these cars in the middle of the water of this street that obviously got stuck, and because their flashers are on. And they don't know, I guess, why their car isn't running through the water that's past their hood. It's Yeah, I don't
Well,
know
there's
why.
a bunch of them too.
Yeah.
At least he's
Not
got his
mentioned.
window wipers going though, so
Yep.
he can see
Windshield
where
clean.
he's not going.
Yeah, that's
All right,
good
there's
amount
another
of
one.
water.
Yeah,
Oh
so
my
there you
God.
go. So that's my contribution.
Awesome. MJ, let's see yours.
Yeah, so I usually bring along the those that have been contributed by some of our listeners and a couple of our Patreon members. Curtis is here tonight. He shared a couple of them, and this one was definitely a fool, as you'll be able to see that water is running over the windshield. Wouldn't matter if they had their wipers on or not. It was
That is terrifying.
yeah, no kidding.
Where is that?
I don't know, so I don't know where it is, but that was.
It's gotta be Southwest U.S. Probably monsoon.
Play that again just so you can see it.
I bet that's Cedar City.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
How is the car not just like full of water?
How's it
at
not
that
full?
point,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I wondered that
Open
same
the
thing.
window too, at least.
So thank you, Curtis, for that one. He shared a couple, but that one was the one that definitely was foolish. Timothy Veltman, also with us tonight, shared a couple. And this is really foolish. So we're going to run this one, and you can see it's a tornado, or it's a water spout coming onto land, actually. And it comes on, and the things are flying, and these people are frankly way too close to be filming this. But look at the shed that blows up. There's a person there. If you look at, so you got to go back and look at this one, folks, because these people are ridiculous that they're out there watching that. So I'm going to stop it now because that part was the foolish part right there. So don't do that. Okay. So go take a look at that one. And we have another one that involves a tornado. And this time someone's driving, also shared by Timothy. And they're going to drive through debris all over the road. Things are flying at them. Trees are falling next to them. And it's just nasty. Yeah. So little foolish perhaps there.
Unless you're educated and, you've got a vehicle like Reed does, then no.
Yeah.
Right. You need the
Don't do
Dominator, right?
You
need
do
the
need the
to do that.
Dominator. Yeah.
For sure.
That tornado.
Right.
That was a what? What'd you say, Reed?
I think that tornado was the EF3, right? Was that the one east of Bosco?
Boscobel. Yep. Boscobel, Wisconsin. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So then this one was shared by at MLC Storm Chaser Giovanni. And you watch this and it's in Spanish, but you watch, there's a storm. You can see it and coming on shore, right? They're on a beach. And at first they showed, whoever's taking the picture, showed a parachuter coming. I don't know where they got dropped off with that storm coming, but he's going to go back and show it again. And that parachute is coming down. Plus there's people out in the water still, and you can see some lightning flashed in there. But you watch, the parachuter disappears over the hotels. I don't know where they landed. But,
Oh my God.
that's a little foolish. Plus the people all out in the water. So again, don't tempt the weather, folks.
Yeah. Oh my God. These were some good ones. Those are like dozens of weather fools right there. If you want to see, and you guys want to go see some of these videos because they are insane, go to stormfrontfreaks.com, episode 138, show notes, and you'll see all the links to all of them there. They're amazing. So you need to go.
All right, it is now time for Weather Trollbot 5000. For those who don't know, this is an awesome little computer robot thing that Phil found at a garage. He did some reprogramming and had this thing be able to tell you what meteorologists were really thinking when they replied to these certain tweets or social media appearances. Phil, tell us a little bit more about it.
Okay, so we brought Weather Trollbot 5000 in again tonight, and so the first one I'm going to share with you again is from one of our Patreon members, Josh Burnham, and this was directed to Felicia Combs at the Weather Channel, and it was from Thomas Forgione. Like, we're not afraid to put people under the bus if you're going to say stupid crap to folks, right? But here's what Tom said to Felicia. He said, "Hi, Felicia. Lose the glasses. They're not flattering on you, Tom." Okay.
Nice.
And of course, our weather friends, they're always very professional when they respond, Reed, and you are too. I've seen how you respond to people. Very professional, very upfront. And so Felicia said, "Hi, Tom. I can't see 2 feet ahead of me without glasses, but being mean is also not flattering." Felicia. Okay, so it was very, it was very nice. He said, "Don't be mean," kind of a deal. But here's the truth: we all know when Felicia first read Tom's statement, "Hi, lose the glasses. They're not flattering on you." That's probably not what Felicia was thinking. And so I'm gonna plug all this stuff into Weather Trollbot, and then she's gonna kick out what Felicia was really thinking when she responded. So I just gotta type it in. So she computes it out, and then here's what Weather Trollbot says.
Here is what Felicia was really thinking. Are you my fucking optometrist or stylist? I didn't think so, Tom. Shut your pie hole.
So there you go. So
Good.
she obviously Felicia calmed down once she posted but we all feel that way when we see this crap, right? So all right, so Reed, that's how we find out what people were really thinking. So all right, so here's the next one. This was an email to Caitlin Wright, who's a meteorologist in Charlotte. And it was from Nancy. And this email said, "Can you please wear better dresses? The dresses are too tight. You're pregnant. They look nasty, really. But you are pretty. Love, Nancy."
Oh my God.
So
Passive aggressive.
Right. Yeah. But you are pretty, right? So here's what Caitlin responded. Actually, she posted this on social media. She said, "This was an email I just got. I am due on Friday. Nancy, uncalled for."
Good for her.
Okay.
Good for her.
But I'm curious, as I'm sure everybody is, what Caitlin was really thinking, right? Getting that response, wear better dresses, they're too tight, you're pregnant, look nasty, all that stuff. So let's type that in.
Are you really typing?
Yeah, I'm pretty quick, don't you think?
Speedy.
Okay, let's see.
Here's what Caitlin was really thinking. Nancy, I'm not Amish. I'm pregnant, bitch. The dresses will fit just fine after Friday, so piss off.
That was awesome.
I like that.
Was so awesome.
That's perfect.
Well done.
It's funny. I almost if that had been me, I probably would have been thinking something very similar as well. But
I'll never understand what makes people think it's okay to say and do that. If anyone's listening to this and thinks it's okay to email that into anybody, stop.
Yes.
I really don't. I don't get it. It's so stupid. But I'll tell you, Weather Trollbot would still be sitting in someone's garage at a garage sale had we not been able to reprogram her because people did stupid crap like that. All right, last one I got. Good old Janice Dean, longtime supporter of the show, been on a number of times from Fox News. This was on Twitter. This was from Coach Why Not A, at Coach Why Not A. I don't know, maybe Canadian, but said to Janice Dean, "Why is the weather girl doing news?" Ooh. And Janice Dean just simply replied, "Watch the interview," right? Like, hey, just watch the interview. Stop being a jerk. But we all love what Janice probably was really thinking. So we're going to do the same thing. When you said, "Why is the weather girl doing news?" Plug that in. Okay. Oh, backspace. Whoops. Okay, got it. All right, what was Janice thinking?
Here is what Janice was really thinking. Why is this shit stick allowed on Twitter?
That's perfect. That's
right.
Perfect. Yes.
Why is the weather girl? Why is the weather girl doing news? Why is the allowed on Twitter? That makes sense.
I love it.
Makes sense.
Perfect.
So, yep. So that's Reed. That's Weather Trollbot 5000 for you. So, if you ever want to share your trolls on social media, we'll find them and we'll interpret probably what you were thinking.
Got a lot of them
when we were doing that. So
send them our way.
Postcard, drop me a line.
You've got mail, baby. Yeah.
All right, MJ, what do we got in the box?
Yeah, we've got mail. So apparently, in the last episode, Phil created some controversy with the favorite soda of Oklahoma being Dublin Dr. Pepper, and there was some heated back and forth going on. Brolin McKay checked in, said, "I love listening to SFF. Stormfront Freaks. But if we aren't given an apology and a retraction on the next episode, I will send a strongly worded letter.
Oh boy.
And whether Trollbot will respond, I can tell
And whether
you.
there you go. So, but thanks for checking in, Brolin. We always appreciate it. No
that
matter
was
what
fun.
it is our folks have to say, we appreciate you checking in. So at Johnny Glesner checked in on Twitter, says, always makes the drive to a chase target much more enjoyable with a Stormfront Freaks podcast. Always great to hear forecast tips from folks like Skip and Victor as well. So Johnny was listening to the last episode, actually sent a picture on the way to a storm chase with their phone up with the podcast playing. So thanks, Johnny, for that. And Jen Walton checked in as well, says, really looking forward to listening to this series and adding to my chasing edumacation. So, I think this series of 3 has gotten a lot of traction on the social media, and I'm glad all of you are listening, and I think you're learning some great things. So we certainly appreciate everybody who's been on, Reed, you tonight, and Skip, and everybody last time. Really appreciate that. Thanks everybody for checking in. Always remember you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Just look for the Stormfront Freaks, and or send us an old-fashioned email at questions@stormfrontfreaks.com. There you go.
But be nice, or whether Trollbot 5000 will interpret that one too. So, so hey, I think that just about does it for this episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast. Thanks for listening or watching. And before I announce who our next guests are going to be, if you like the show, don't forget to subscribe to or follow the Stormfront Freaks Network so you get notified and you receive the latest episodes of our show and El Niños delivered right to your podcast player the moment that we release those. Also visit patreon.com/StormfrontFreaks, and you can check out all the ways we can do more with you, and you can also help support the show. Like it's our live access to view and chat during our raw video recordings, like tonight with Reed. We've got exclusive merch, and you can even join us and our guests in the green room, like Angela and Dan tonight as well. Just go ahead and visit patreon.com/StormfrontFreaks. We'd love to have you join the team. And again, thank you for supporting the show. Special thanks tonight to Dr. Reed Timmer. Reed, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you. Never stop chasing, everybody.
And it was good having you on, Gizmo on as well. But good stuff, always good stuff. And this is always fun to listen to. Our next episode, so we're going to be back in a couple weeks recording live and raw for our Patreon members, Gizmo. It's going to be Thursday, September 2nd with part 3 of our storm training series as we talk with storm chasers Picos Hank Shima and Rachel Sanner. They're going to be talking about identifying your storm. And sing it with me. You've got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. Right? So you got to know like when to give up or when to keep chasing. But we'll talk a lot about that. The audio podcast is going to be up and available the following Sunday as well. So for MJ, Jen, Serena, Reed, Angela, Dan, we're going to go ahead and signal the all clear, and we will catch you guys next time. Good night, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Good night.
All right. And boop. Reed's gone.
Yep,
he went to do the Broncos. He's got to watch the Broncos make his.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Had to poop too. Gizmo had to poop.
Oh, he was
Who is Reed? Is that what she said?
Yeah, she's like, who's Reed?
Who is Reed?
This person, I swear, she knows when we're going to record a podcast because it's the night where she can't sleep, and she'll come out of her room and she's like, "Mommy, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Sarah." I know.
It was cute hearing in the background. She's like, Mom.
Yeah.
I'm like, Sarah. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, can you read my mind? Can you?
You're just trying to get that question out. You're just trying to get it out. Just a second. I got 2 more sentences. Just wait.
Oh my God. And I tried to get her back in her room too. Oh man. It's okay. We got through it.
The night you need him to do that more than the others is when it does not happen.
She feels that stress on me too. So I think I need to be completely calm and chill. And then she'll like just pass her down. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But this was
so
awesome.
Thanks to Curtis and Josh and Garrett. I know Steve and Tim, they were also on as well, so it was good joining.
Yeah.
But so what, Dan, Angela, good stuff tonight? Yes?
Yeah.
Learn a little something?
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. I'm glad you guys were on stage. It was fun having you guys on here.
Agreed.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Cool.
Super awesome.
All right. Well, hey, I do appreciate everybody. Yeah, yep. See everybody. Thanks for joining.
Thanks everybody for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
But I do want to thank you guys